Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's November 11th, 2023. And as you can see, Eli is not with us. So our original producer, Rob, is taking the reins today. Thank you, Rob. Good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Going good. Getting a lot of good feedback, getting a lot more listeners week after week. So we're excited about that. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. And of course, our sponsor, Coriano Trucking sponsors our monologue this week, and we appreciate their support of the show. And we're going to jump right into the monologue. And I think this one for us is a pretty easy one. Sports with Mono and Mono has always recognized our military and the sacrifices made, and we always make special mention of that on Memorial Day. But today is Veterans Day, and no other sports topic could even be more important or even remotely close to that. We'll talk sports later, but it's the servicemen and women of our armed forces, past, present, and even going to be the future, uh, is the reason that we can even sit here and talk about sports at all. Um, they protect our democracy and our rights, and it's not an easy job. And I've had an opportunity to meet many of our servicemen. I have my neighbor Norm, who's a World War II veteran, and I just hold them in the with the utmost respect and gratitude, certainly from myself and from our show. And I know Rob feels the same way. Um, it's just I had an opportunity yesterday just to go to my old hometown in Oakland, New Jersey, and go to the Veterans Memorial and just to stand there in awe and just to think of those sacrifices that the, those soldiers made for the freedoms that we enjoy today. And it would be silly of us to have any other topic as the monologue for this week's show. And again, a great big heartfelt thanks to all of our servicemen and women, past, present, and future, for protecting the liberties that we enjoy today.
Amen.
Right. So, Rob, let's jump in. We got a lot of sports to talk about, right? Let's we generally during football season start off with the NFL, and if you're a Giants fan or a Jets fan, it's kind of been I don't know, not a good look for either one of these teams right now. But I'll start off with the Giants, and we've seen what's been going on. The train continues to fall off the tracks time and time again. And Daniel Jones was out for 3 weeks, comes back, and he goes down for a season-ending ACL again with these injuries in this league nowadays. It's inexplicable, but it's happened, and the whole situation with the Jets and the promising season to begin with, and now we got to deal with Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh, who's a coach I don't think has any really comprehension of what to do in this situation with this quarterback. He even made some statements like, "I plead the fifth on it," like why we're starting Zach Wilson. It's kind of crazy, but again, let's we talk about some injuries, right? The Vikings, their backup quarterback, Hall, goes down with an injury right after the Kirk Cousins thing. So they go out, make a trade, get Joshua Dobbs, comes back and keeps Minnesota right in the thick of the playoff race. And the Vikings also lose Cam Akers, who they just traded for because they didn't have much of a running game. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And then conversely, you got the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow playing outstanding football right now. And they're looking really, really good in the AFC. You see, Buffalo can be very vulnerable. But of course, we've said it time and time again, it's Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is on top of the mountain until somebody knocks him off. But it seems like Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are all pulling it together after a slow start. So we're going to keep an eye on that for sure. Um, But yeah, I don't know what to say about the Giants. There was a lot of promise going into the season. I'm still a believer in Brian Daboll. I just, we've had a lot of injuries, but again, that's no, it's part of the game, which we get. But this
Well,
season has gone
well,
from
Jim,
bad to
well,
worse.
Jim, real quick, we got overwhelmingly duped last year by Daniel Jones.
Yes.
The schedule was bad last year. We played a lot of bad teams. He played okay. Okay, he played okay. I'm getting tired of defending this kid. I think we've seen enough. And if you're a really diehard Giant fan, you better hope that we don't see Daniel Jones on that field again, which is possible because we're going to have a really, really high draft pick once again, right? There's 3 quarterbacks out there we want. We know Joe Shane has been following Caleb Williams around like a puppy dog the past few weeks in college football, going to his games. So there's a very, very good chance because ACL recovery is a year anyway. So he's not going to start practicing until the season starts next year.
And
so
you know what, Rob? You're absolutely right. Listen, and nobody's been a bigger defending of Daniel Jones than myself, as you know. And I'm starting to see that I don't know if this is the long-term answer anymore. And I do think the Giants overpaid him. And he seems to be injury prone. And this is not 1, but 2 neck injuries. And that's, we don't even know if he's going to be healthy. So I think you're absolutely right. If the season keeps going the way it looks like it may go, we will potentially get, some draft choices that may be appealing and start this whole thing over again, which seems to be, another, here we go again. We thought Tyrod Taylor would be, and we always said he was a solid backup for sure, but he goes down and now we're playing with a 3rd string quarterback with relatively no experience. So, and when you look at it, I don't know where they're going to end up in the draft, but when you think about the quarterbacks coming out, it's a really good draft. You have guys like Drake May from North Carolina. You have Bo Nix, who I'm a big, big fan of. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. Caleb Williams, of course, right. Everybody thinks he's going to be the second coming kind of thing. And Michael Penix from Washington. So there will be 4 solid quarterbacks, and you're absolutely right. And I'm starting to waver a little bit and say, I think it's time to turn the page. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes. So that's going to determine, how much real estate how much capital the Giants have to give up, even if they have to move up to get one of those quarterbacks. I think it's time. I think you're right.
And don't feel sorry for Daniel Jones. He got paid very nicely.
Yes, he did.
He's gonna make $100 million out of this.
Yep.
Even in the last 2 seasons.
That's exactly right. And again, like I said, I thought they did overpay a little bit for him, but he's a classy kid. I mean, and I know he's got the tools, but something's missing. And when I look at the Giants, and again, I've been a staunch defender of Saquon Barkley, and Saquon Barkley is a solid running back, but I have never seen a running back that gets either 1 yard, no yards, or -1 yards in a game than Saquon Barkley. It's amazing to me, and yet he's absolutely so athletic. When he does find an opening, he can get through the hole and so forth. But I don't know the market for running backs. I don't know what you're going to do with him next year either. He could be trade bait as well.
It drives me crazy too. I'm a big fantasy football guy, right? We spent $12 million on Saquon Barkley. Again, I don't want to knock the kid. He's been everything you want from a running back, even in the public. He has that pristine persona out there. He does nothing wrong in the public eye.
Right.
But then you look at a guy like Donta Foreman, who couldn't even get on the field for the Bears. For the first 5 weeks of the season, comes in 3 weeks, has like 500 yards rushing. There's a guy they paid probably $1 million for and we could have had and saved $10 million to go somewhere else.
I know listen, it's no picnic being a general manager. That's for sure.
Rashad Penny is sitting on the Eagles bench for $2 million, hasn't played yet because they're saving him for the playoffs.
I got you.
Again, again, Saquon Barkley, again, he's everybody he wanted to be. He's the great kid. Like I said, he has great moments and bad moments, but Gettleman effed up again with the number 2 pick. You know, I don't know.
Well,
We'll
again,
see.
yep. And I'm going to say one other shout out to somebody who's really made quite an impression on this league, and that's C.J. Stroud. I mean, he's really playing like he's playing like an NFL quarterback.
I had a feeling, we were doing those, when I was on the show, in the spring and stuff, I had a feeling that the kid was going to be better than Bryce Young. And it looks like they made a mistake. I mean, you can't. CJ Stroud is so much far advanced than Young right now.
I agree with that, but I don't dismiss Bryce Young. I mean, he's playing for a lousy football team, and we'll see how that goes. You
have a comment there from Jeremy.
And by the way, in about 10 minutes, we're going to have Jeremy, who's been a loyal listener of our show for a while. We're going to, you know how we like to thank our loyal listeners by having him on the show, and he'll be joining us very shortly. So thank you, Jeremy.
Very good.
Right. So, all right, Rob. So you're going to be filling in for Eli. Let's do our picks of the week. And so last week, Jim was 2-1, and Eli was 1-2. He's having a rough go of it lately. And I'm only saying that because I love him.
He's gonna stop picking the Seahawks.
Yeah, he does. I keep telling him this is a business. You got to bet with your head, not your heart. Anyway. So I got 3 games here. You could fill in for Eli with his picks. I'm gonna give you Eli's picks because he did text me while he's away on vacation for his birthday, which was on Thursday. Happy birthday, Eli. So Rob, I got 3 games. Let's run down Houston and Cincinnati. And again, here we go. It's CJ Stroud's got to step up and play Joe Burrow tomorrow. And listen, I think it's an easy pick for me. I think Cincinnati is on such a roll, and they're rapidly becoming the favorite to get to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals in that one. And next game is New Orleans, Minnesota. And this whole Minnesota situation is very unusual because, you got Joshua Dobbs. They made the trade. He comes in, he wins the game, looks like a, all-star all over again. But remember, Joshua Dobbs has been on 8 teams in 6 years. So I don't, there's something there, but I don't know if this is if they can get maybe Justin Jefferson back and they can find that connection, but I don't think it's there just yet. And New Orleans, I'm not a big New Orleans fan or a David Carr fan, but they are looking pretty good. So I'm going to take New Orleans this week over Minnesota. And third game, the Detroit Lions, right? The Cinderella Detroit Lions taking on the Chargers. And the Chargers, again, to me, do not seem all that impressive. Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, but this is another San Diego Chargers situation where, he puts up staggering numbers, just like, guess who? Phillip Rivers. And what did Phillip Rivers ever win? Nothing. But he's probably going to the Hall of Fame with his career. And Jared Goff, like I said, I got to have full disclosure on this one because when he first came into the league, he was horrible. And then he goes to the Rams, and I even said it on the show, Rob. Remember, I said, he was one of the most improved players at that position that I had ever seen, going from awful to extremely good. And then, but Sean McVay, that could have been his system. But Sean McVay all of a sudden lost confidence in him for some reason. He gets shipped off straight up for Matt Stafford, who comes and wins the Super Bowl. But again, Jared Goff is impressing me week after week. I keep waiting for the Jared Goff kind of game, and he hasn't put it up. He's shown he's quite a leader in Detroit. So I'm taking Detroit over the Chargers.
Well, Jared Goff, it's a minor miracle he's still starting at this point, if you believe the media, because he was supposed to have been like the sacrificial lamb. He's going to last one season in Detroit, and then they're going to move on, draft a quarterback, yada, yada, yada. And here he is with a chance to make another Pro Bowl again this year.
Exactly.
And I tell you, the league is that much more fun when the Detroit Lions are good. They always have a fun brand of football, back with Barry Sanders and whatnot. And they're a fun team to watch and a great team to root for because they've never really won anything in their history.
No, that's exactly right. I think it's a great story actually for Detroit and Dan Campbell and the whole thing and bite your kneecap and all that kind of talk. It's been pretty good. So who do you like in those three games? Houston, Cincinnati.
Hold
on.
like Houston.
I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second to think about it because I'm going to give you Eli's picks. So either Eli's taking Houston over Cincinnati, Eli's taking Minnesota over New Orleans, and we do see eye to eye on Detroit over the Chargers. So those are Eli's picks for this week in absence, right?
I like Houston. I think they have something brewing there. They have these rookie and young receivers that have just been way above expectations right now. The running game needs to get a little better, I would say, but I'm going to take Houston there. I think Cincinnati's due for a bad game, and Higgins is out already. The running game stinks right now, and Jamar Chase is probably one hit from the IR again. His back is bothering him, and he's gonna try to play, but one hit, and he's probably another comment there, by the way.
Yeah, we got a comment from Diego Cruz, who he's an absolute loyal listener. Been on the show before, resident soccer expert, but we appreciate it, Diego. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you as a loyal listener week after week. All right, so Rob, you got two more games. You got New Orleans, Minnesota. Who do you like?
I think the Saints are going to burst the bubble a little bit for Minnesota. Great story with Dobbs and everything. A guy who was, journeyman. The Cardinals wanted him when they had they don't have a quarterback. All of a sudden, Murray comes back. All right, let's get rid of him a week early, which was a blessing in disguise because he was ended up to get traded by a team that needed a quarterback in Minnesota. I think Minnesota's a week away from Justin Jefferson, but I have a feeling they're looking forward to that. They're going to overlook the New Orleans Saints, who aren't a bad team.
Okay.
And then Chargers, Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Now, on my big fantasy team, I have all three of the starters for the Chargers. I got Herbert, I got Eckler, and I got Keenan Allen. So I've been watching that team pretty closely. So I'm hoping for a shootout. I got Laporta too on the same team. So I'm hoping for a major shootout here. And I think Detroit pulled it out.
You like Detroit, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I need a shootout. I need one of those 45, 38 games, and I'll be pretty happy.
Okay. All right. So we're all aligned on Detroit. Now that's our pick of the week. So Rob, I'm gonna send it over. Jeremy, our loyal listener, is going to join the show just for a couple minutes, and as soon as he comes on, we'll jump back. But we'll stick with football and college football today. Again, some big games. Obviously, a couple of classics. Florida State, Miami game.
Well, Jim, let me real quick before I'm saving this to say this live to you, and this time next week I will be in South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, who they got next week?
They got Wake Forest. Me, two of my best buddies. We're driving out probably 3:00 in the morning on Wednesday. We get there Thursday afternoon. Hang out Thursday, Friday. Do all the festivities, the tour of the stadium. Hopefully, see the pep rally, the painting of the helmets, and I'm gonna cry like a baby when I see that stadium on the inside. I know that already.
I thought I was supposed to be part of that trip.
I know. I was in a discussion we had a couple years ago in Anthony's backyard, but all the stuff going on, in the world, and illness and people passing away. And I said, you know what, YOLO. I got to start doing stuff now,
All right.
because you
Well,
just never know. So I will be there next. I'll take some pictures for. I'll hop on the week after the show, but yeah, I'll be in South Bend next
okay.
Saturday.
I'm a little jealous and a little hurt.
We'll do it again. We'll do it. I'm sure
All right.
I'm gonna want to go again. So,
Okay.
which Steve's better, we'll take Steve with us.
I hope so. You bet. Man, that
Yeah.
would be great. That would be
Yes.
great. That's a special trip, and
he'll be on my mind walking in that stadium Saturday.
okay. And I hope you don't walk away disappointed like last week when they lost to Clemson, who isn't the Clemson of old. That was a big opportunity for Notre Dame to make a statement, and they couldn't do it.
I love Sam Hartman, and I love Sam Hartman, but hold on, we're waiting for
Jeremy.
Hold on. All right, Jeremy, if you're there, please. I'm getting a warning message from StreamYard. Android Chrome, which causes an echo. So if he's listening, Jeremy, put on headphones so there's no echo. I don't know. I got a warning. He got it as well. Oh, so as I was saying, I'm looking forward to rooting for your guy Audric Estime, who he's going to be phenomenal season so far. We got some Jersey guys there, playing guy from Bergen Catholic. Cross, right?
Yep.
John Baptiste, he's a Jersey guy, number 1 transfer. So I'm looking forward to it. So
awesome. That's great. Terrific. So listen, last week, like I said, Clemson beats Notre Dame. Alabama. Everybody's writing off Alabama, but don't look now. They're playing Nick Saban football, and they beat LSU, which basically knocks LSU out of the playoff picture contention. So we're going to see. Big games this week, though. Michigan, Penn State, and we'll talk about the whole Jim Harbaugh mess in a little bit. But that's I don't see them having a problem with Penn State, regardless of whether he's there or not. And like I said, the Miami-Florida State rivalry, another chapter. We've seen classics over the years. This doesn't have that same luster like it did in the past, but still a big rivalry. Should be a good game. And Rob, as you know, we keep talking about Rutgers, and they pulled off a miracle win a couple of weeks ago to keep face, and they're like 6-3 now, I think. But they got another big test against Iowa in the Big Ten, and we keep saying,
they got screwed last week. Did you watch that game?
Did not.
They were it was second half, early in the second half. They were still they might even been leading at that point, and they were driving down the field, and then the star running back gets a pass, and the guy clearly led with his helmet. That's when he fumbled the ball and went the other way. That was.
I did see the play. I don't know.
That should have been a penalty on the defender, and that ball should have stayed right there. That minute, who knows? They might have still lost by 15, 20, I forgot what it was. But you never know with momentum in a home crowd. How? Like Jeremy says, he doesn't have Jeremy. If you're there, try anyway. Try to come in. We'll try to get you on the show without headphones. Don't worry about it. If it's that bad, we'll cut you off. But try to come back in and come on the show.
Yeah. Okay. So Rutgers, Iowa today, and Oregon, USC. And as you know, we talked about the Heisman Trophy candidates, which we're going to get to in a little bit for a particular reason. But this Bo Nix has impressed me immensely. I've had an opportunity to watch Oregon play, and especially that Washington-Oregon game was an amazing game. I think you got to hang that one on the Oregon coach, but I think he outplayed Michael Penix. So he moves up in the Heisman thing, in the Heisman picture. So college football is right down to the last couple of weeks before. And you know what I wanted to bring up, because I don't know how I feel about this, and I was going to wait and see when Jeremy comes on. I had a question for him. I'll get to that in a minute. And another game, like I said, Rob, I think there's no question right now in college football that Georgia is the team still to beat. And the year Carson Beck has had for Georgia is very surprising to a lot of people. And I'm not over, I wasn't that surprised. I always liked his potential, and I didn't know he'd have this kind of leadership qualities, but he's taken over for Matt Stetson Bennett and just looking terrific week after week after week. And Kirby Smart, maybe the best coach in college football. They go up against Ole Miss today, and Lane Kiffin and these guys, don't rule it out. But I think Georgia's going to go into this playoff undefeated once again. Anyway.
So Jim, real quick, I meant to ask you, how's our boy doing from in Cleveland?
Well, interesting that you ask. So he's on the team. So he made the 53-man roster, right? But he was inactive. And we're talking about Luke Whippler. He was inactive for the first couple games, but you would say they didn't want to put him on the practice squad because they know they got a player in him.
Yeah.
So didn't put him on the practice squad because, as you know, anybody could sign anybody off the practice squad. But he has been dressing. They've had some injuries on the offensive line, so he's dressing for the games, and I expect him to see some action at some point during the season.
Cool.
Yeah. Good. And we root for him big time. Anyway, so I guess we're having technical problems with Jeremy. I don't know what's going on here.
Try to find headphones around. Again, Jeremy, if you're listening, try to come on. I'll work with the audio issues. And
yeah,
but he does have a trivia question.
The link. Yeah, just click the link, Jeremy. Just click the link. Okay, so covered football pretty much. Except no, we didn't finish football yet because you know what today is? Today is playoff day in New Jersey football, and my St. Joe's team is taking on Seton Hall Prep, and Bergen Catholic is taking off an underrated Pope Paul VI team. And it has all the makings of lining up, but you got to win these games. St. Joe's lost a big game to Del Barton last week. I think Del Barton is playing Don Bosco this week, but I think certainly I am and everybody else, I think they want to see the rematch. I think they all believe that the two best teams in New Jersey are Bergen Catholic and St. Joe's. So this would align for a rematch of the game 3 weeks ago, which Bergen Catholic beat St. Joe's. But hopefully we'll get that in MetLife Stadium because that's where the parochial non-public group is situated.
Hey, Jeff, have a quick rant a real quick rant. Now, I'm sure Eli told you, like last Friday night, our St. Mary team, little tiny school in Rutherford, 240 students, half of them are girls, make the state playoffs, and we got to play DePaul in the first round. How the heck is DePaul a non-public B school? They play all the big boys.
I know.
Why the heck are they B? This whole state thing system is ridiculous.
I actually asked Eli that same very question last week. I said, wait a minute. St. Mary's has been playing local public schools like Park Ridge,
Hawthorne, Butler, Park Ridge,
and I said the same thing. And I said I knew they were going to get blown out by DePaul because DePaul is a really, really good football team. It's a fair question. I don't know how they situate those guys, but it did register with me as well. So,
and real quick, same thing with the basketball, because we'll have a real good team this year, right? Yep. Now we're gonna be stuck playing like a Roselle Catholic, a Gil St. Bernard, teams that are nationally ranked. If you're a nationally ranked high school team, go play Bergen and Don Bosco in the playoffs, not the little
St. Joe's
or St. Joe's. Yes, play those schools in the playoffs, not the little schools that you're going to feed off of automatically.
And we just got a comment from Andrew Caroline, who, by the way, is a loyal listener and has been on our show before. Thank you, Andrew, and I'll see you this afternoon at the game, my friend.
It appears because of the microphone issue, StreamYard is not letting Jeremy. I can't even get him on the air. So because
Okay.
he
Well,
had that issue, I can't get him on.
all right. We'll do it another time then. That's all.
Yep.
That's all.
By the way, he did
Uh,
have a real quick. He did ask a trivia question for you.
what city hosted the Super Bowl, the World Series, Stanley Cup Finals, and U.S. Open in golf in the same year? I'm gonna say, ugh,
Arizona?
oh, maybe I'm gonna say New Jersey. New Jersey, right? When Peyton Manning won it with the Bengals, that was in Giant Stadium. World Series could have been. I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, Mike Garvey says L.A.
L.A.
No, that's Mike Garvey.
Oh, Mike Garvey responding. L.A. Well, you get the Dodgers, you get the Super Bowl. It makes sense. U.S. Open maybe at Riviera, and the Stanley Cup, is that the L.A. Kings? Maybe. Anyway, Jeremy, give us the answer. Don't leave us hanging here.
And Diego responded to my question. No, Diego, I know that. I know St. Mary's is a private school. I work with them. But I'm just, my beef is, why are they in the same classification as a DePaul, who in a normal regular season schedule plays St. Joe's, Del Barton, Bosco, Bergen Catholic? If you're playing those guys in the regular season, you should play them in the playoffs.
I think, Rob, it may be based on the size of the student body. The only thing I can.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. But just in general, if you're playing the big guys in the regular season, play them in the playoffs as well. I mean, keep it consistent.
All right.
Another comment there.
Anyway,
another comment.
Oh, Stephanie Holenko, thank you very much, Stephanie. And I know Stephanie is a dear friend of my daughter Danielle's. Awesome. Appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you. So, Rob, as much as I hate to have to talk about the NBA, I'm going to talk about the NBA for a couple of minutes here.
Come on, you gotta love this tournament. I'm enjoying it.
All right, I'm going to get to that in a minute. And I couldn't disagree with you more, first and foremost. But I'm in love with the implosion we're seeing early on with the Clippers and this whole James Harden. They get that cancer from Philadelphia, and he's supposed to be the missing piece, and they're just falling flat on their faces. And I love it, because I wish the Sixers just said, you know what? You're suspended. We're not going to pay you. Sit on the bench. And this whole Harden Irving thing, it's just driving me crazy. And I love when it goes wrong. I love when it goes wrong. All right. So, Rob, I'm going to ask you about this in-season tournament. Actually, here's my view, and then you tell me your view. It is absolutely the most absurd, meaningless. It adds no excitement at all. All this is based on who wins during the season for a guy that's already making $40 million a year, and he's going to get the winner's share of $500,000 apiece. It has no relevance at all to the overall records of these teams. And what is your appeal of this? Thank you. Please tell me.
I don't know. I think it gives the younger players, younger stars in particular, who don't normally get a chance to make the playoffs on some of these bad teams, a chance to play for something more meaningful.
But they're not meaningful at all.
Well, I mean, hey, I was watching the Nets last night, who lost to the Celtics in their second game in the tournament. And then I was doing some work, and then the Lakers game came on, Lakers versus Suns. The coaches in the locker room pre-game talking to the teams are like, hey, this is something new. We want to be known as the first team to win the NBA Cup. So they are playing for something. I mean, maybe next year it loses its luster, but this is year one. Let's see what happens.
Okay. I respectfully disagree that it has any relevance at all, and I don't see it add any more excitement to anything other than a court color change. You know?
All right, Jeremy, we did ask the trivia question. We're waiting for the answer.
Yes.
What's the answer? We're dying here.
I think Mike Garvey may have the right answer, actually.
It probably is LA. I mean, they have 9 teams like us in every sport, so.
Well, yeah. All right. I don't know the answer. But one other NBA note. So give me your opinion on the next coming of LeBron James and Victor Wembanyama. What are your early opinions of him? He scored 29 points last night in the loss.
See, I like to go against the grain on most things. When the Yankees were good, I was not a Jeter fan like everybody else was, right? So I'm actually rooting more for Chet Holmgren to be that guy. I don't know. I think these tall, skinny guys, they're eventually gonna have a high ankle sprain to be out for 3 months. They're lanky. Yeah. They're gonna hurt themselves. This guy's been throwing up some pretty impressive numbers. I got to give you that. But I'm the anti guy. So give me Chet Holmgren, almost the same structure, same player. Who, by the way, is playing better than Wembanyama.
I disagree with you there. I think Chet Holmgren, yeah, he's okay inside. He's still got to put on some weight, but this Wembanyama, he can handle the ball. He's so athletic. Holmgren's not really athletic. He's just a big guy. Wembanyama can dribble. He could pass. He could block shots. And I'm rooting for him because I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and he's a very nice guy. Maybe this attitude will change like Kevin Durant. When he first came into the league, he was an absolute articulate, nice, polite, handled the media very well. And now he became a rebel, just like James Harden and Kyrie Irving. It's perplexing to me. So I'm rooting for Victor. I'm rooting for him. All right, Rob. So let's move on. Let's of course, we do random points of interest. You may have a couple. I'll rattle some off. This course is sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. So I got a couple of them. Andrew Volpe, our shortstop for the Yankees, maybe the only bright spot besides Judge for the Yankees at this point, wins his first Gold Glove. I think that's pretty impressive. I don't know what the criteria for a Gold Glove is.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was pretty shocked by that, as a matter of fact. Yeah. I did not expect that to happen.
I agree. I felt the same way, but hey, he won it, And overall, he had a pretty good year. I mean, drove in some runs and stuff. And again, listen, everybody on the Yankees hit either 230 or less. So it's no embarrassment that he finished the season 220 something,
Wait, are we talking baseball today at all? Are we talking a little pre-hot stove season after this?
No, this is just random points.
No, I'm saying, are we getting to the Yankees? I haven't been on the show in 2 months. Are we going to talk a little Yankees in a little bit?
All right. You know what? I'll give you a forum. Give me your Yankees.
After this.
Okay. So so baseball, Ron Washington, 71 years old, comes back and he's going to manage the Angels. And
haven't they learned like the new guy? It's all about the young guy now.
I know, but you know what? Maybe it's not so much. You got Bochy.
La Russa flamed out.
Right, but Bochy didn't, But Ron Washington had a pretty successful run. He was the manager of Texas when they should have won the World Series.
I'm forgetting about it. What happened with him that he got disgraced all of a sudden? Drugs?
I don't know. I know
something happened. Something happened to him.
I don't know specifically, but I do know that he has a tendency to rub people the wrong way.
There we go.
He's kind of a coke in LA. I don't know what that means.
I think that's for Ron Washington, right? He had a drug problem.
Oh, okay. If that's what it was, okay. But I also know he had a reputation as being a very foul-mouthed, crude type of manager. But listen, he's going to the Angels. They're going to lose the best player in baseball, and they're not going to win anything anyway. So irrelevant. speaking of staying on baseball again, Craig Counsell turns down the Mets to take the Cubs job, becomes the highest paid manager in baseball, and he hasn't won a thing yet.
Is he
What do you
also
think of that?
is he the GM too? I read.
Huh?
Is he the GM also?
No. No. But he is
All
the
right.
highest paid manager in baseball for a guy that hasn't won anything yet. So I don't know what scared him off with the Mets, because he had a relationship with David Stern for a long time. That was a little surprising.
And even more surprising is they hired a Yankees guy.
Yeah, bench coach Carlos Mendoza. They did, yes. Hey, here's a random point for us, because a few weeks back we had Arda Ocal on, the ESPN hockey guy and so forth, and just saw this week he signed a new contract with ESPN to continue as studio host for NHL Tonight and so forth. And he was a great guest on our show, and I'm happy to hear guys that are good at what they do continue to get rewarded, and good for Arda. And I appreciate, like I said, when he was on the show, and we wish him continued success in that space. Big hockey guy. And yeah, I just one other thing I wanted to bring up. This Jim Harbaugh situation, and it just came out yesterday. It was a three game ban, which is almost ridiculous. He just can't coach on Saturdays, but he can run the practices. So hard to figure that out.
But
you
he's
know
ready.
what?
He's ready. He's ready with his attorneys to go fight back.
I know, but you know what? He should be ready with his bags, because he's probably going to be coaching the Raiders next year. That's my early inside prediction. He has left such a train mess at Michigan that it's all going to come out. He's been dirty since day one, and now it's going to catch up to him. And either the board of trustees will fire him, or Mark Davis is going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Speaking of Vegas, I don't know if this is by design with the NFL or not, but how great is it that if you're a New York sports fan, if you have me those handful of guys who root for the Giants and the Jets, you get to spend 8 days in Vegas and watch both of your teams play there. How ironic that they're playing the Giants and Jets back to back at home the same week. Like the whole New York sports fan experience, goes on for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they're actually doing a Formula One race in Las Vegas this weekend as well.
Oh, disaster! I was out there in June, and they're already like the locals were already like grimacing how bad it's going to be for them.
My brother was at the Giants Raiders game last week, and he said the same exact thing. You can't get around Vegas; it's a mess.
And I had a bunch of cousins go too. I had a bunch of cousins go out too to see the game.
Yeah. But just watch for this Jim Harbaugh thing to just even get worse than it is, and he's going to be out of college football and in the NFL next year.
Well, tell you, if Mark Davis had any goulions, you know what I'm talking about, any balls, right? He'd go and hire Steve Bashia back, because he deserved that job after taking over mid-season and that team winning, that team making the playoffs, and he still got fired for it. Have some balls, Mark Davis. Bring Steve Bashia back and let him, do what he was doing.
Okay.
But, hey, that's the NFL. What are you gonna do?
All right, Rob. Here you go. I'll give you the mic here. Can go off on the Yankees here. Go ahead.
Hold on. No. I mean, I want to have a quick discussion. Like, what do you think? I haven't done the show for a while. How would you and I let's have a 5-minute conversation? How would we fix the Yankees?
Well, I think they're going to start to fix it by they're putting together a package for Juan Soto, and they realize they need somebody like that. They need a left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium, and I don't know who's going to go or not. Can we rely on the Peraltas or the Perazzas? I don't know. Some people say they were given a chance. Some people say they didn't have enough chance. I don't know. I think you got to listen, I've always defended Brian Cashman to the extent that, you can't fault Brian Cashman for Donaldson hitting 200 and so forth. But on the past couple of things, the the Carlos Rodon and the Felix. Who's the other guy from Oakland they got? Frankie Montez. I mean, those were just bad decisions. So I'm starting to give a little bit more responsibility to Brian Cashman to fix this, and I don't know where to start.
I tell you, I got a sneaky suspicion that Frankie Montez comes back on a 1-year cheap make it deal, make it or break it deal where he could, because he came back and played the last game of the season. You see that?
I don't know, Rob. I
mean, again, he's going to be cheap because he knows he flamed out and didn't do as expected, and I think that works to the Yankees' advantage because you know what? If you do trade for Juan Soto, Michael King's gone. He's probably top of the list of players that go.
That's right, but they're also, remember, they're chasing this guy Yamamoto, this pitcher from Japan, who is, look at his career numbers in Japan. It's unbelievable. I know it's Mr. Cruz comment. Stanton pulled a hamstring brushing his teeth this morning. Yeah. Well,
I think
we can't go. Listen, we all have to eat this Giancarlo Stanton thing. I mean, it's nothing we can do about it.
There is one thing he kind of reminded me there, Diego. If the Dodgers are unsuccessful in getting Ohtani, and they're the favorite in the clubhouse right now, is to get Ohtani, I think they turn around and take Stanton off our hands. They need a power bat.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think this Yamamoto is a big piece because we need somebody to complement Gerrit Cole, right? And Yamamoto, it's going to cost them a fortune. They're gonna have to spend the money. I mean, they're going to have to spend money.
They never should have got rid of Montgomery in the first place.
We all know that. That was one of my things with Cashman as well. All Jordan Montgomery did was give you innings, solid performances, and he goes and wins a world championship with Texas. Good for him. Great for him.
I read today where, what about trading Gleyber Torres for Verdugo from the Red Sox? They both feel a need for either team, and he's a left-handed bat with power.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know so much about it. I've been a Gleyber Torres guy. He had some of the best numbers on the team last year. A lot of people are down on him. He does make a lot of errors, but I think he's still a viable bat. And here's somebody that I think they should have signed 2 years ago. He's going to be a free agent. I think he'd be a good addition to the Yankees, J.D. Martinez. And he's not going to command the huge salary that he once was, but he's still a viable player. He's an excellent hitter. That would be a piece that could, I think, make things a little bit better for the Yankees.
Well, something's definitely going to happen because they have, I believe, 4 or 5 catchers on the 40-man roster right now. That's way too many. So they're protecting some of the younger guys because I think some of the older guys are going in trades or whatnot. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a hell of an offseason as is. Again, these metrics drive me crazy. I don't know what they are half the time, and yet they rule baseball right now.
I agree with you. All right. So Rob, we have our movie recommendation segment, and I'm bringing this up, and this is no coincidence, right? We were just talking about potential Heisman Trophy candidates, right? I think we're talking right now with Penix, Bo Nix, and Marvin Harrison, a non-QB in the discussion right now. Definitely the best receiver in college football. So my movie recommendation, and I don't even know if you've seen it. You may even have been too young for it. It was a movie called Something for Joey, and it was about John Cappelletti winning the Heisman Trophy, and his little brother was dying of leukemia. It's a very kind of like a Brian song type, very kind of saddened at the end. But I did look it up, and I remember watching the movie. I think Mark Singer played John Cappelletti in it. And it was a really cool movie. It came out in 1977. So I remember Stephen and I watching it together, and we were like, I went this week, I looked up some footage of John Cappelletti, and he had an amazing season that year. And the whole story was there was his dying little brother asked him to score 4 touchdowns in a game, and it was against Purdue, and he scored 3 touchdowns, and Paterno pulls him out of the game. And somehow somebody found out about it, got back to Paterno, and he put John Cappelletti back in the game, and he scored his 4th touchdown for his little brother. Great story. Great story. So it's actually a great movie. You know, with today's access and streaming, I recommend something for Joey, and it's a little tie into the Heisman Trophy race that we're dealing with this year.
Sounds like Brian's song meets Rudy.
Yeah, fair analogy. Fair analogy.
By the way, that Rudy game was
no, but John Cappelletti. John Cappelletti actually had a pretty decent career. He played 8-9 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
But his senior year was great. It was an amazing. Check it out. There's a lot of good footage of him, and I didn't realize he was a big back with speed, and you didn't see big backs with speed until you really saw like Earl Campbell or somebody like that, you know.
Well, yesterday was
so like that's my movie recommendation of the week.
All right, I read yesterday.
And
was
Rob,
like
you know,
I'm saying yesterday was like the 40-something 48th anniversary, I believe, of the Rudy game. Right. The reason I bring that up is I found this out over the summer. There was a Elma Park, town I live in, I grew up in. Our biggest ever football star was Tony Zappala, who played in the Rudy game. He was the guy Rudy came in for at the end to
so
get that one play in.
He was the Wally Pipp.
And he was the one. He was one of the guys that came in the office with the jersey and said, "We want Rudy to play."
Right.
And I guess
anyway.
I guess in his interview he verified that sack was actually a reality. It wasn't a Hollywood stunt.
Excellent. So anyway, another quick mention, and you can see I'm wearing my Niagara University jersey, who played Notre Dame to open the season last week, and they actually held their own against the Irish, 70-63 final. So go Purple Eagles. Beat your beloved. No, they held their own with Notre Dame. Excellent. You know,
not too bad.
Yeah. So Rob, let's wrap up with our notable passings, and it was actually, you know, you weren't part of the show last week, but there was some guys I know you were familiar with. We brought up Walter Davis last week, North Carolina player, and so forth, and of course Bobby Knight. So this week was a good week for that. But Matt Ulrich, 41, he was a member of the Colts Super Bowl team with Peyton Manning, and 41 years old is way too early, as you know. But he was a good football player. He wasn't, you know, he played in kind of a backup role, but he was a member, had a Super Bowl ring, and that's a loss for the Colts organization, I would think, because he was really liked in that group. And actually, I only have one more, Rob, and it's from the world of Hollywood. I missed it a couple of weeks ago. Mark Goddard, who was 87 years old. And everyone's going to say, well, I never heard of Mark Goddard. Well, he played Major Don West on the old TV series Lost in Space. Remember that? Lost in Space? So that seems so long ago, but he was 87 years old. But I remember watching the show. Stephen and I watched it all the time. Anyway, so Rob, thanks for jumping in and pinch hitting, and have a great time in South Bend, Indiana next week. We'll have Eli back next week. I suspect we'll be at 9. If we have any program changes, we'll certainly let you know. But again, we close again with just, if you see a veteran or you have a chance to go to meet somebody, just tell them thank you for their service, because without them, there is no Sports with Mono and Mono show. So thanks, everybody. You guys have a great week. Thanks for the comments. Jeremy, Diego, Mike Garvey, appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week. Happy birthday, Eli. Yeah, you got it.
Have a great week.
All right, Rob. Thanks for joining in.
Anytime, buddy.
Bye.